All right, so here we are, man. Tuesday preview video because the Jaguars have a Thursday night football game, their first night primetime game of the year, and hopefully not the last. Hopefully that Week 18 Titans game at home is going to be a primetime Sunday nighter, but for now, one game at a time. The Jaguars are coming off an extremely emotional victory over the Cowboys, but not much time to celebrate. The 24-hour rule does not apply to the Jaguars in that one because next day, they're practicing and getting ready to travel to New York to take on an angry Jets team. So very, very quick turnaround. Now, I want to start this preview with a little bit of a story time because this one, the Jets have a kind of a soft spot in my heart, man. 2 years ago in 2020, it was clear the Jaguars were not going to be very good. I remember we started off with a really surprising win against the Colts. Then the next game, we took it 4 quarters with the Titans, and we were 1-1. And we were like, you know what? Maybe the Jaguars are better than we think we were. And then we had an early Thursday night football game against the Miami Dolphins, and we got completely demolished. And it was clear to me that not only was this team just not very good, but we didn't have the right quarterback. The quarterback that was going to take us to the next level was not on the current roster. So at that moment, week 3, I decided, okay, I am now going to cheer for the Jaguars to lose every single game for the rest of the year to give us a better chance to, draft that quarterback. I wasn't sure, I knew Trevor Lawrence was on the horizon, but it's so hard to get the number 1 overall pick. And, the Jaguars seemed like they were good enough to maybe pick up 2-3 wins along the way, and 4-12 might not be good enough. Isn't usually good enough to have the number 1 overall pick. But the Jaguars didn't do that. They lost out, and the whole time the Jaguars were number 2 overall pick, because the New York Jets did not look like they wanted to lose any games. They were, they lost the game to the Raiders when, the Raiders needed to score, and they went like cover 0, and Ruggs beat a undrafted rookie for a touchdown. It was like, okay, like they are committed to this tank. But then on this day, 2 years ago, the Jets pulled out an improbable victory against the Rams. And I know, speaking for myself, there's a lot of moments where, you remember some wins. Like, oh, yeah, I remember beating the Bengals, in 2017. Oh, I remember this moment in history when the Jaguars or whoever, did a certain thing. But a lot of times there are very few moments where it's like, where were you on this day in history? I remember exactly where I was on a David Garrard Hail Mary. I remember exactly where I was when the Jaguars defeated the Pittsburgh Steelers in the playoffs. And I remember exactly where I was when the Jets beat the Rams to give the Jaguars number 1 overall pick. I remember the Jaguars were playing in the number 1, at the 1 o'clock window. We got demolished by the Ravens, a playoff team. We weren't any good, and it was just same old, same old. And then I remember the 4 o'clock window of game started, and Jets were playing the Rams pretty close, but halftime, whatever. If it's close at halftime, whatever. It's close in the third quarter, it starts to get a little bit more. Then all of a sudden, the fourth quarter's here, and I'm like, this Jets team is winning, and the Rams don't want to score points. And I remember watching on my sofa. My girlfriend, we were just chilling, watching it, and my girlfriend's from Puerto Rico. She doesn't really know a lot about football, so I'm just kind of sitting there relaxing, watching. And all of a sudden, this game is getting tense, and I'm going like crazy. And my brother was roommates with me at the time. He came out, we're watching on the sofa, and she's like, what is going on? Why are they randomly getting so excited over like this random NFL game, Jets Rams? Why does this matter to them? And I'm trying to tell, number 1 pick in a draft, this quarterback coming out, whatever. And then finally the Jets defeated the Rams, and I was sitting there in shock. I immediately went live on the channel. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. This actually happened. And the Jaguars wound up not winning another game that season. The Jaguars had the tiebreaker, so they had the number 1 pick, and then boom, the Jaguars locked up Trevor Lawrence, and that completely changed the trajectory of this Jacksonville Jaguars organization. And so exciting. It was so exciting. And, here we are today that Trevor Lawrence is playing his best football. And look, the Jets, I mean, they're they're struggling a little bit at quarterback. But that was my small story time, and we have Trevor Lawrence, and for that reason, the Jets will always hold a soft spot in my heart, and that's a top 5 day as a Jaguar fan. That day the Jets defeated the Rams. So we'll get into this game a little bit, man. Like, the Jets are they've had really a tale of two seasons, man. They started off 5-2 on the year, and they were impressive. Like 5-2, that's a really, really good record, especially quick turnaround for the Jets. Year 2 of Robert Saleh. They have Zach Wilson, even though he didn't start the year. But then since then, they've only been 2-5, and they're currently on a 3-game losing streak. So with this one, man, the Jets are going to be focused. They just came off of a home loss against the Lions, and now they have another home game on Thursday Night Football. So no traveling involved, while the Jaguars are coming off an extremely emotional win, one of the best wins on the year, and they really don't have a lot of time to celebrate. They had about 8 hours to celebrate, and then it's on to business the next day. So the Jaguars as a team need to be focused now. And also the Jaguars need to travel too. So not only they have to come over that win quickly, they have to get on a plane and travel on Wednesday, tomorrow. So so quick game planning going on here. Now, both of these teams absolutely need to win this for the playoffs, which is pretty cool. I mean, Jets and Jags, this time of year, these games have just been, kind of crap. Just two, teams competing for a better pick in the top 5. And now they're actually competing for a playoff spot. It's kind of different spots. The Jets are competing for the wild card, and they need to win this because, some of the teams ahead of them, the Chargers, the Ravens, like, they don't hold tiebreakers over them. So, and even the Dolphins are above them. So I don't know if they hold a tiebreaker over them. They still play again this year. But yeah, they need to win this for the wild card. They're in a tough spot outside looking in, a whole game back plus tiebreaker rules. And the Jets are also kind of this year, a lot of different starting quarterbacks. They've had 3 different quarterbacks start the year. Joe Flacco started the year because Zach Wilson got hurt in trading camp, or actually in the preseason. So Joe Flacco started. Zach Wilson took the reins from there. Zach Wilson had a really bad game against the Patriots, and for that reason, he was actually benched. And I don't know if it was more due to the fact that he didn't play well, or if it was more because of the post-game press conference where he took no ownership for it and just did not show a lot of emotional maturity. So he was benched for Mike White, and Mike White has been the best quarterback for them this year. Unfortunately, he did get hurt. He has a rib injury. He is probably not going to be playing on Thursday night. I would be shocked if he was, and there's a good chance that he probably doesn't play the rest of the regular season. So this is Zach Wilson's time to really shine. And yeah, so really with this offense, Breece Hall was excellent to start the year for the Jets. And I know that personally because he was on my fantasy team. I miss him dearly, almost as much as Jets fans miss him, especially with the playoffs starting. But yeah, Breece Hall was excellent, but the running game hasn't been very good since. They traded for James Robinson. He only has 85 yards since that trade. We were hoping to get more to boost that 6th-round pick to a 5th-round pick, but they really aren't using him. Jonathan Knight has been their leading running back as of late. He had 13 carries for 23 yards against the Lions, so not great. But the best part of their offense is the pass game. You got tons of weapons. I mean, Garrett Wilson, excellent rookie out of Ohio State. Also, Elijah Moore has been doing better as of late. Braxton Berrios is a pretty solid hand receiver. So yeah, their offense, they definitely lean on the passing game a lot. Now, defensive-wise, defense is what really carries this Jets team. They have a really, really good defense. They're tied for 4th in total points on the year, 3rd in yards per game, also tied for 5th place, tied for 5th in the NFL in sacks. However, they are middle of the road in turnovers. They started off pretty hot, but they only have 1 turnover in the last 5 games, so they're definitely looking to kind of get a spark there. So it's a really tough matchup. The Jaguars will have to score some points on this team. It'll probably be a low-scoring game. I imagine it's not going to be the Cowboys' final score, but this defense is going to hang in there to keep this team in there. Now, how would the Jags win? Like I said earlier, the Jaguars need to stay focused, man. I mean, I can't imagine coming off of that win against the Cowboys because I'm like still on cloud 9 from that game 2 days later. These guys had to forget it like that, but these guys want to go to the playoffs. They're focused, and hopefully they can stay focused this game because the Jets are an angry team. They've lost 3 games in a row. You know, they want this. You know, they want to win this one. So, yeah, we're going to get the best effort from the Jets because they are absolutely fighting for their lives right now. We need to find the weakness in the Jets defense because the Jets defense, I mean, they're a good defense. So, and one thing that Doug Peterson has been good at, he's been good at exploiting weaknesses in the defense. I loved what they did against the Cowboys. Cowboys have a good defense, and we were just kind of utilizing all the field. We were doing reverses. We were rolling out. We were passing it all over the place. I feel like there wasn't an area of the field where Trevor Lawrence did not pass the ball. We were able to get the run game back going. ETN at over 100 yards rushing after the critical fumble he had in the first quarter. So, yeah, we're going to have to keep, figure out a way to keep this defense on its heels and, control the ball like that. Now, a big thing is like the weather for this game is going to suck. The weather right now, it's 45. It's going to be 45 degrees that night. They're predicting like 1 to 2 inches of rain that night. It's going to be windy. It's going to be really, really sloppy. And we remember the last time it was a sloppy weather game in Philadelphia. It was, I think Trevor had like 4 or 5 turnovers, several fumbles, some interceptions. It just wasn't good. So the Jaguars running game has to get going, especially if Quinnen Williams is out. Quinnen Williams was out on Sunday. I think it was a game time decision. If they're probably going to try to force him out there. So we have to, Quinnen Williams for the Jets at defensive tackle, he's going to be a big, big factor in this game. But hopefully the Jaguars run defense or run game gets going and ETN just takes care of the ball. Like ETN has not been very good in ball security this year, not only like fumbling the ball, but also just not being great at catching the ball either. So those are some like big factors in this one. But this game, hopefully the rain clears out because a rainy, cold game is definitely in the Jets' favor with the way they want to play the game. But with this one, man, a big X factor this one is Zach Wilson. Because look, if Zach Wilson he's very, very volatile, man. If Zach Wilson is having a bad game, he is a bottom. Like he doesn't even play at a third string level. It's just bad, but he can take over games. He can be a big X factor. He can use his feet a lot. He can make all the throws. Like he can really it looks like he can make a lot of throws that a lot of NFL quarterbacks can't make, but he can't, hit on the easy ones. And it kind of reminds me of Blake Bortles with the footwork. Like set your feet, man. That's, he's got to learn to set his feet. But, we'll see with Zach Wilson. But it'll be a fun one, man. This is Trevor Lawrence versus Zach Wilson, a rematch game. We kind of forget about it last year because last year was just a dumpster fire. And I don't even like to count that with how bad Urban Meyer had this team and just how bad the offense was. But, Zach Wilson and the Jets beat the Jaguars last year. Hopefully we go out here this year and the Jaguars can get the better of them in a much, much more important game than that was last year. Keep the playoff hopes alive. Like I said, the Jaguars run the table. Or if the Jaguars run the table, go 3-0, we're hosting a playoff game in Jacksonville. We're AFC South champions. And man, this is really going to be a big one for the Jaguars. And another thing about this is the Jaguars win, they get like 10 days of rest. You know what I mean? So you kind of get a mini bye week. So this would be a big one to get up, and then we can kind of scoreboard watch for the Titans game against the Texans. And overall, it should be, the Jaguars take care of business this Thursday. Then, we're feeling pretty good over Christmas weekend. So with all that said, let me know what you guys think about this game. I think it's going to be probably low scoring. I'm just praying the weather clears because weather is a Jets advantage. But with all that said, I'm rambling. Go Jags. Super pumped for this game. And I'll see you guys later.